The lesson.
Oh yeah.
So after number one, now Terra Firma is what we know it today. But before that releases, Culture Kings 2 drops.
Yep.
And that drops, I'm going to guess, 2003, 2000.
No, 2002, I think it came out.
Okay, so this is the interesting bit. So
Yep.
this one to me, although number one is the classic.
Yep.
It's like the Allmatic.
That kind of like laid the foundation. I think.
Yeah, you know, and
this
that's
is the one that really like took everything to like.
Number two was the one where I was just smashing it in the car.
Yep.
This was where I
Yep.
was just like, oi, this is
Yep.
proper world class. I'm not saying the first one wasn't,
Yep.
but just for me, it was really that
Yep.
second one. And there was, the hoods had the Sentinel on there,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
When I heard that, I was just like, what the fuck?
And Delta's track as well, man. Like I really like that track. 'Cause, like,
which Delta joint is the one that's on that one?
For the Kings.
Oh, that's
like the title track.
man.
'Cause that was one of my That was one of my biggest regrets is not having him involved.
Because he wasn't on number one.
He wasn't.
So,
So
why was he not on number one?
Just the way it worked out.
Just timing and
yeah,
just all the shit.
Yeah, but honestly that was a big regret and made up for it by asking him to do the title track. I said, could you do a track called About Culture Kings? Could Flack have done the first one on with Crossbred about Culture Kings? Yeah, and then I asked him to do it, and he's nailed it, man. Like,
Isn't there a remix to that or
of Deltas?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Probably
okay.
Stains maybe done one or something. I'm
yeah,
not sure.
okay.
Yeah.
So that was the title track for Culture Kings 2,
Yep.
which he's obviously contributed.
Yep.
He didn't
And got smashed on their like radio, like just that and Solomon Klepto. We built this. The other two that got smashed the most.
Now you also had this one. I mean, the first one had 18 tracks, 19 tracks, something like that. You said this one had like over 40 songs.
Yep. And that came about from Simo and I think Simo was house sitting in his sister's house, and she had a double CD. It was like either a Triple J CD or another, like a those like hottest
100s or something like that.
Yeah, not necessarily Triple J related or whatever, but
it's just like the top songs.
Yeah, and I was like, fucking,
100% hits.
Yeah, and it was like we opened. It was like a double CD thing. I'm like, let's do this. And we just looked at each other and was like, and we started that night. We started writing up, if it's even possible, if there's that many groups, and there was, we could do it. Yeah.
And then that's how you guys. And then obviously you've just started the.
We drop a list each of like, I think definitely Kirk was still involved at this stage as well. So basically, we drop a list of, like we quartered it off or whatever, and I had to approach my list, and they had to approach theirs.
Yeah, okay. And that one had Downside Bittersweet on it.
Yep.
That is a cracker, man. Yep. That is.
And Hunter's Jam Roll, the doll track.
Oh, man, where he samples that TV show.
One of my better memories from doing all of number two especially is I had a P.O. box at Hilton near where I was living. And basically, after we'd approached people to be on it and they'd confirmed, we'd go, okay, we need to send your bio, photo, and his track to the P.O. box.
Oh, here we go.
It was killing, man. I was like, and towards when it was all coming together, everyone had a deadline. And I started getting all the tracks. I thought, fuck, I'm just, this is going to be like killer. Yeah.
Now, from the process of doing the first one to the second one, the first one was obviously very raw.
Yeah.
Kind of just like, we don't even know what we're doing. By the end of it, you kind of know what you've got.
I mean, that first one was with Obese. It was their second ever release. So it's OBR 002.
Yeah, wow.
One release before that was Reason's solid album.
Yeah, right.
So it's like right at the start, man,
There you go. So everything's right at the start for everyone. No one really knows anything.
Yeah.
Then it's happened. It's been successful. Now you're approaching dudes. First of all, there were some dudes on the first one that were on the second one, obviously, like the Hoods and a few others. Now, at this point, when you reached out to people, was the process the same, or were now people asking?
Easier.
But were they asking for the contract side of things yet?
None of that.
There's still none of that.
None of that.
So people still weren't asking for money.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Because basically it was pitched again the same as,
the first one.
Yeah. And what I did promise people in the second one, those I'd be involved in like a tour,
Okay. Yep.
And basically everyone that was on it went somewhere,
Did you have to organise the two shows?
Yep.
So the melt of the first one, you also organised the shows?
Yep.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
Yep.
That's a lot of work, man.
I think the one here had I think I flew in 30-something people, man, from all around the country,
and
put them up in hotels.
And who was helping you with that, the live element of it? Was it still Kirk?
No,
and
PJ, Kirk,
would, yeah.
Yep.
And then did you have to bankroll all the flights and shit yourself?
Yep, the whole lot.
Wow.
Yep. But at the time, I was working at Ansett. So,
oh, really?
Yeah,
so
man.
you could get like discount deals?
Yeah.
Oh, that's killer.
Yeah. So, I mean, even from the start of this, I was, when I was trying, so I was working at Ansett the entire time.
Yeah, okay.
And so it was easy, man. So I've got like the cheaper flights, whatever, and it was all hooked up, and I knew how to do it all. That part of
was
for
easy.
me was easy, man. Like,
It was just the other shit that's involved in running an event.
Yeah, it's just,
It's draining, man.
It was decent. Like the Sydney one especially, man, we had like a whole floor booked out in our hotel. It was like killer times, everyone just running a thorough. It was ridiculous. The proper. Yeah.
Did you film this?
There was a video or something, but
it'd be who knows where it is.
Yeah, I didn't really the dude I did it with. Like, I'm sure he's a nice dude and everything, but we had a bit of a fallout when we were doing it. Yeah. And I was kind of put my hands in it, so fuck this shit. I didn't know about it anymore, I just left it.
Yeah.
So it did come out or whatever, but it's not something I've,
And then, so with the second one, when you've approached people, the process been the same. No one's asked for money or contracts at this point. You're talking to them about bringing them on a tour if everything goes well. Also, I'm pretty sure Bliss and Esso was another big name that was on there.
Yep. Yep. And they were...
Was How on the second one?
He was on the first one.
He was on the first one?
on the first one,
Coolism was on the first one.
Yeah, with, I think it's Old City or something maybe.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then with Bliss and Esso, they weren't on the first one.
No, but they were one of the most organised. You could tell back then, man. Like, they were very organised, man. Like, of all the groups, outside of maybe the Hoods and a couple other from here, they were, 2 weeks. Way professional, man. Everything was,
And they're Sydney based, right?
Yeah.
Now, at that point in time, because they're huge now.
Yep.
It was around that time where they really started popping off. But by the time you got them on Cultures too, had they really popped off yet, or that was just before?
Just before, I reckon. It was just before, I think.
Yeah. Because I was thinking if it was just after, there's no way they would have submitted music without a contract.
Yeah, and I think, who's them? What's his name? Anyway, definitely there would have been some sort of paperwork for both parties to sign if who they currently ended up with, for sure.
And so
I'd probably still be paying it off, I think.
Percentage royalties. Now, you've submitted the track. You got the people that are on board. You got 40 plus people.
Yep.
That's enough for a double disc.
Yep.
After this is where you decided, okay, the way that we're going to drop the vinyl is in 4 different pieces.
That happened during doing the artwork. So basically, I approached Vans, who's a
legendary rider.
Yeah, so basically during the 96 to 99, Vans and I painted heaps together.
Okay.
Yeah, before he's become the Amiga and the global brand that he is now. So I approached him to do the artwork.
Oh, so Vans did Cultures 2 artwork.
And basically sat it downstairs at the clinic when they were downstairs. Because he had, at that stage, he had Materialism clothing with Toby. Mm-hmm. And I basically sponsored deal and he did the artwork. Yeah, and we just sat down there and he came up with the train thing at the back. And
so that was all him.
Yeah.
That train thing was so dope.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, so I was always wondering who the fuck came up with that, man.
Yeah. Basically, I shudder to think if I approached Vans these days to do CD,
what it would cost.
I reckon there'd be a contract involved.
Did you have to? Did you even have to pay him at that point?
I think. Yeah.
But nothing compared to what you'd have to break him off.
He'll probably
now.
have a different story, like I still owe him money or something. I bet he probably would. He's honestly, man, he's like one of the nicest dudes you're ever going to meet in the scene.
Yeah, well,
hands down, man. Can basically paint anywhere in the world. He's
up there.
Yeah,
I've heard, man.
Right up there in the world's top graffiti writers, man. He's incredible.
He's a dude that did number 2.
Yeah, and he was involved in the artwork.
That's crazy.
You know, but yeah.
And then like, so you've got these 40 plus artists. Now on the first one, I get the feeling that it was really like very homeboy collective with a few bits and pieces from interstate.
Yep.
But number 2, you got so many different artists covering like all the corners of the country that even maybe I didn't know at the time, but even down the line, I realized like, well, hang on. Does this dude get along with this dude? And, you know, like how did they manage to put this song on with these guys if these guys are on it? And I guess no
one really was involved in that side of things. If people had beef, that was their own thing.
So did people ask you like, oh, who else is going to be on it? Was that like a thing? And then
look, especially with the first one, it definitely was like when Celsius, like Sir Rec from Death Wish, he got approached by a girl we know from Blackwood, Rachel Wagner, I think her name is. She knew him. And so she approached him and he goes, oh, who else is on it, blah, blah, blah. And then bang, you know, he's on it. And that's what helped, you know, that one as well. You know, you got members of like Death Wish cast on the first one, you know. And it kind of gave it a bit more like credibility. Yeah.
So then by the time the second one comes out, people are just like, we know whoever's on it's going to be dope. Yeah. So we're just going to be next to some dope dudes no matter who it is.
And by that stage, the scene's kind of evolving as well. Yeah. It's getting bigger and bigger and people just wanting to jump on and, you know, try and get people to hear them.
Now, so this is 2003. Now, the Hood's Sentinel was on the Calling. Yep. Which that dropped in 03.
Yep. No, this is 02.
I was going to say, yeah. So that means, this dropped before that. Yeah. Because I remember hearing the Sentinel.
On the same.
Yeah. Because I remember hearing the Sentinel again before the album.
There's no contract, you know, binding it to Culture of Kings. You know what I mean?
There's
none of that. So it's like, whatever. Cool.
But at this point, you know, because when the Calling dropped, that's when it really kicked off for them. Yeah. But at this point, you'd have to say that the Hoods were still top dogs out of all 100%, the artists.
And I think, 100%.
Yeah.
They were always at
the top. Yeah.
And it was like an honour, man, to have them on. Even then, you know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask.
Even then, I was like, oh, great, this is awesome. Like, these dudes are by far the best dudes, in my opinion, back then, even in the country doing it. Great, you know, killer.
Did you think maybe, like, with some of the names, did you kind of think, oh, we might not be able to get a song from these guys because of... You know, were you pretty confident that people
I can't really think of anyone that I felt hesitant approaching or whatever.
Were there any tracks in particular? Because obviously you get the submissions, you know, people send them to you.
At that PO box address, though, there were like just rogue ones that would come through, like people had just sent.
Oh, that didn't even get approached for it, but they were just sending you
a couple of rogue ones. And
but none of them made it on the compilation. No, okay.
Made it straight to the bin. No, you're joking. Nah, but
yeah, right.
But so it was that kind of like, it was a hectic time, man. It was
And then so when the songs have come through, were there any ones in particular where when you heard them, you were just like, fuck?
Hunter's Jam Roll stands out.
Yep.
As Hijack's track stood out for me when I remember just getting that home and go, what the fuck is this? This is crazy. Like that Bones beat or whatever is so sick. I love that. To this day, man, it's so good, so different to everything else that's on there. Yeah.
I forgot that Hijack was on Cultures too.
Yep.
So now that reminds me, that was another one because Delta versus Hijack. That already happened before Cultures 2? Or did that happen after? So much of this was around the same time.
Yes,
I've got a feeling it was just before. But see, that
20
was
20 years ago, my timeline.
Yeah, exactly. But that was another one where I was like, I remember thinking, you know, like, how did, you know, no one's getting
it. There was so much hype, you know, it was so good, man.
So good.
It's so good for both of them.
Yeah.
Everyone was talking about it. It's like, killer.
Were you there at the battle? Because I know Simo was.
In Melbourne, yes. Hang on. No, I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Yeah, okay.
I know I've seen him interstate before battles,
because that was a big that was a big thing, like when that was happening. And I guess the other one that stood out as well, and I don't know even how I heard about this, but when I saw Bliss and Esso and the Hoods on the same compilation, I was like, isn't there something?
I don't know about any of that. I have no idea.
But yeah, so
Someone else's.
when putting it together, you've had no political issues per se. Obviously, people have submitted. There's a few.
Not like someone said, I don't want to be within 3 tracks of such and such. Is that what you mean?
Well, just
don't know.
anything,
Nah,
like
not
anything.
really.
There
Nah.
was just not anything.
Not
Because
that I can remember anyway. There maybe was, but not that I can remember. It stands out.
Because like now, like when I've done gigs, for example, when I'm putting on bills, you know, there's sometimes is the thing of like, oh, who else is going to be on there? If this person's on there, I'm not really too interested. Can I get billed in this particular position? And da da da. Yeah, that sort of shit happens. So I just assume when you're dealing with 40 plus acts, there might have been a bit of that. But then again, because it's so long ago and people still coming up, the egos are not like...
Not that I can remember anyway. Nothing that really like glaringly stands out as far as anyone being a complete, you know... Everyone was pretty good to deal with, man, to be honest with you. Yeah, I only had to chase up a couple of people for stuff like right at the last minute, like you're already like overdue. We ended up having to get Joel's track that's on it. What's that called with Simo? Simo's raps, Joel's beat. We ended up having to pay $400 to get it because we were final day with Neville at Disc Edits.
Yeah.
We had to get it picked up in Melbourne. It got picked up at his house at 10:30, flown over here on an express service and dropped off at like Disc Edits.
Because you only had Neville for that amount of time.
Yeah, we had him that
to
day,
get
man.
done.
And if it wasn't on, it was going to, you know.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure Simo flexed a bit of his muscle and said, oh, I'm on the track, bro. Just get it done. Just get it done. So, yes, we got to courier it over, man, by air, and it landed and hand delivered into Disc and mastered.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, man.
The lesson. 2-7. Oh, yeah.